afternoon. I'm Mark,
I'm Mary.
and we are M Amusements. So we're here at Hershey's Chocolate World. We're about ready to do the all-day chocolate world events, which includes a trolley ride to see the factory stuff, 4D movie. We get to make our own candy bar, and something called Hershey's Unwrapped, whatever that is. But we're starting our day out with the trolley ride. I'm just going to show you what that is there. Gonna take us around and show us the outer part of the factory and probably give us a summary of what they do, and then we'll go in, I think, for the movie, and then the other two events depending on what order they're in. So we'll see what happens.
Welcome to Hershey Trolley Works. I'm ready for a trolley ride.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think these people are. You guys ready for a trolley ride?
We are.
All right, great. That's what I like. You have a question? Tickets are all inside, yes. We might be sold out, just warning you, but we do have tickets available inside if there are any available. Alright folks, well, you're in for a real treat here today. We have a lot of great things to show you. I'm hoping everyone's here for our 12:45, right? Yep. 12:45 historical trolley. We have other times, so just make sure you're here for 12:45. Fantastic. Alright folks, well, you're in for a real treat here today. We'll be showing you all around the town that Milton Hershey built. So you have a lot of cool things to see, but I want to go over a few guidelines with you first before we get you on board here today. First of all, and most importantly, you must wear your mask over your nose and your mouth for the entire duration of today's tour. Again, you must wear your mask over your nose and your mouth for the entire duration of today's tour. We have a number. Oh, yep, what's up, bud? Sorry, I can't hear you. What? People at the back can't hear me if I just talk like this. If I talk like this, they can hear me, they can't hear me. Okay, yes. Folks, we have a number of safety precautions in place here today. We thoroughly clean and sanitize the trolley between each and every one of our tours. You can see that happening now. We also will be boarding today's tour from the back to the front to make sure nobody gets any contact in the aisle, and then disembarking from the front to the back for the same reason. We have plastic barriers set up between each and every one of our seats, so we'll be filling every single row on the trolley today because we can do so safely. So we'll board every single row from the back to the front, one party per row, unless your party is larger than 4 people. Does that make sense? If not, don't worry about it. I'll seat you individually when you come to give you your tickets. Alright folks, aside from that, we do ask you to remain sitting and quiet throughout the entire tour, and silence your cell phones just like you're in a live show. However, unlike a live show, feel free to take as many photos and video as you like. We've seen a lot of great things on today's tour, but we want to make sure you capture those memories. Parents, if you have any small children, make sure they're on a lap during the entire tour. Put your nice protective arm around them, just like this, to make literal something that's lying around. Children, if you have small parents, same thing. Now, if you have any outside food or drink with you today, we do ask you to finish it up and throw it out before you get on board the trolley, as we do not allow any outside food and drink with the exception of bottled water and, of course, Hershey's.
So as you see, there's the trolley, and they're going to load us from the back to the front, as they said in the opening instructions. So we'll be getting underway here soon.
Perfect. You want to sit right in front of those folks, okay?
Okay.
Today we're going to take you around the town that Mr. Hershey built out of cornfields and chocolate, and we're going to see all the sights you'd expect to see on a tour of Hershey today. We'll see the downtown district with the Hershey Kiss streetlights and the intersection of Chocolate and Cocoa Avenues. We'll also see things like Hershey Park, the Hershey Gardens, Zoo America. But we're going to get off the beaten path quite a bit as well today, and we'll be able to take you to see things like the Milton Hershey School. Has anybody here ever heard of the Milton Hershey School before? A couple of you have, a lot of you have not. Do not worry. By the end of the tour today, I'll make sure you see why it is the center of life here in our town today. We've also been given exclusive permission to take you onto the grounds of Mr. Hershey's home, the High Point Mansion. Ordinarily, it is closed to the public, but this season we have exclusive permission to take our guests up onto the grounds. So we're very excited and honored to be able to share that with you. And here, escaping religious persecution, we'll call him William the Younger because his father was also William Penn, so we'll call him William the Elder. William the Elder was actually an admiral in the King's Navy. He was also a creditor to the crown during war times. And the king actually owed William the Elder a lot of money. He settled that money debt with William the Elder by giving him a land contract here in the New World. It included all of Milton Hershey. His great-great-great-great-grandfather came to this region in 1717 to South Lancaster, about an hour and 15 minutes away from here. And he would build a large working farm that would be passed down through the generations. Eventually, Mr. Hershey's great-grandfather, Isaac Hershey, broke off from the rest of the family and then came out to this region in 1826. Their farm, that consisted of about 350 acres, would then be passed down through the next generations. And during the 1850s, Milton's parents, Henry and Fanny Hershey, took over the farm. And on September 13, 1857, Milton Snavely Hershey was born about 2 miles away from here at the Hershey family homestead. And we're going to go see that in a little bit. But first, we thought we would take you to show you where all of the magic happens, where the chocolate gets made. Before we get there, though, over here to the left-hand side of the trolley, you're seeing one small snippet of the Milton S. Hershey medical system, or Penn State Hershey as it's known today. In the 1960s, after looking back at some transcripts of Mr. Hershey's conversations in the final years of his life, executives from the chocolate company and representatives from the board of directors of Milton Hershey School came together to honor Mr. Hershey's word, and they formulated a $50 million gift that was given to Penn State University to build a research and teaching hospital for the region. It was not existing at that time. It has gone on to become Penn State Hershey, one of the most successful and largest health systems of its kind in the state, and one of the most successful research and teaching hospitals in the country. Now, downtown, we still get all of our fresh milk for Hershey's Milk Chocolate from a 90-mile radius around our factory. And although we have several plants, the largest by far and the most central is this one right here. Coming up into view is West Hershey. And West Hershey is considered the flagship factory of Hershey's. It was originally built in 1993 as our white chocolate and coating chocolate production facility. It was originally built for the Hershey Hug line. When the Hershey Hug was invented, there wasn't a very practical way of the original factory to make it, because not only did it have to have a dollop of milk chocolate to make the kiss, it also had to be enveloped or wrapped in white chocolate. Couldn't really be done practically at the original factory, so that's why this originally facility was built. It's become much bigger over the years, though. Back in the early 2010s, this went through a 250,000 square foot expansion. It is now responsible for making more than 5 million pounds of chocolate per day on average. So all of the things that you think of as major staples in the Hershey brand, like Hershey bars, Hershey's with almonds, Kisses, Rolos, cocoa powder, syrup, all of those things are made here at this facility. It takes more than 35,000 cows to make enough milk for 1 day of chocolate production here. 1 day. And it produces more than 70 million kiss-shaped products each and every day. Pretty cool place. We're here to the right-hand side of the trolley. Once we get past these storage units and the U-Haul dealer, have a look out here to the right-hand side, and you're going to be able to see in the distance a tan building with air vents on a tower. This is just a small portion of the Reese's Corporation that we're going to go see in a minute, because we don't have one factory for chocolate making here in Hershey. We've got two. But before we get to the Reese Corporation, let's head to Mr. Hershey's story. Again, Milton Hershey was born on September 13, 1857, to plain Mennonite farmers Henry and Fanny Hershey. He was their only surviving child. He did have a sister named Serena, but sadly she passed away at the young age of 4, we believe, with scarlet fever. His parents, although they were plain Mennonite farmers, his father Henry also fancied himself an adventurer and inventor, and he thought he was going to be the next big thing with his ideas. And in his defense, he had some pretty amazing ideas, like coin-operated vending machines, kitchen cabinets, trout hatcheries, canned vegetables, and medicated cough drops, just to name a few. He also never finished any of those ideas. He also never patented any of those ideas, so the ideas never made the family any money. And because he was so preoccupied with this flair for adventuring and invention, he never made the family any money, not even from farming. So as a result, Milton grew up in a very poor, unstable home environment. By the time Milton had turned 14, he'd gone to 7 different schools and had, we think, maybe a 4th grade formal education by the time he dropped out of school entirely. By age 15, he was working, and his first successful job was as a candy making apprentice in Lancaster, about 45 minutes away from here, at Joseph Royer's Confectionaries. Mr. Royer taught him how to make sweets of all kinds, but he was particularly good at making caramels. Most people think that I was going to say chocolate, but can you believe it? Back in those days, chocolate was virtually unknown in the United States. I don't know how people lived back then. I couldn't do that. I'm not strong enough. But he was working in caramels, and by the age of 19, 4 years later, he decided to head off on his own to start his own caramel company in Philadelphia. Now, like I said, the year was 1876. He thought he knew there was everything to know about everything. Thought he could start his own business. And there he was. And after 6 years of working night and day in Philadelphia, he would find that times were tough, sugar bills were high, and sales were low. And his first attempt at a candy company went bankrupt in 1882. This was his first bankruptcy. He didn't write home to tell his family what had happened, so he started working in another candy shop in Denver in what he knew, so that he could make some money to get home. And what he would find is a new way to make candy when he worked in Denver. We don't know who he worked for or how exactly long he was there, but when he was in Denver, this is where he learned the trade secret of adding fresh milk to his candies to make them chewier, tastier, and longer lasting. Soon he was off to try again in Chicago, in the Windy City, but we see a pattern developing here. He found that times were tough, sugar bills were high, and sales were low, and he failed there as well. After that, he went down to the Big Easy, to New Orleans, to try again, and he found that times were tough, sugar bills were high, and sales were low, and he failed there as well. By 1884, he was ready to try again in New York City because he thought if he could make it there, he could make it
Anywhere.
By 1886, he found that times were tough, sugar bills were high, and sales were low. Not only did he fail in New York City, he also went bankrupt a second time. So if you're keeping track, over the course of a decade, Milton failed at least 4 times, and 2 of his failures were outright bankruptcies. He had not a penny to show for his penny of his farmers. We've got a title for a guy like this in 2020. Loser. Yeah, and that's what most of his family and friends thought of him at this point. But fortunately for us, Milton was a believer that if at first you don't succeed, try again. Or, if you're Milton, try again and again and again and again and again and again. But we are now in downtown Hershey, so again, take a look out and up and you'll see the world-famous Hershey Kiss street lights all around us. The originals were installed in the 1960s. Most of the ones you see are from the late 1990s, early 2000s. He and his beau, Kitty, they would have an instant connection. And less than 2 years later, on May 25th, 1898, the Hersheys were married in the rectory of St. Patrick's Cathedral on 5th Avenue in New York City. And they had splendid years of marriage together, but there was one very sad fact for this couple. Early on in her early years, Kitty was actually diagnosed with an incurable nervous disorder. Doctors called it locomotor ataxia, which means creeping paralysis, and we're not exactly sure what it was. There's no modern equivalent to that specific scientific name. But once they were married, her physicians would be the ones to tell her that she would never be able to have children because of this nervous disorder. And this was a devastating blow to the couple because they both loved children very much and wanted to start a family of their own. But this simply would not be a biological reality for them. Well, 10 years later, in 1908, because of this fact, Kitty Hershey had one of the greatest ideas of all in the entire Hershey legacy. She suggested to Milton that since they could not have children of their own, perhaps instead they could start a home and school for children who did not have parents of their own. And that is precisely what they did. In the next year, 1909, they started what was first called the Hershey Industrial School. And 111 years later, today it's known as the Milton Hershey School, and is the largest, most successful school of its kind in the world. Today it exists to create extraordinary education opportunities for normal average kids who don't get a normal average chance at life. To the left is the Alumni Memorial Grove. The trees that sit in the circle there symbolize never-ending love. In this case, it's Mr. Hershey for the students, and of course the students for each other. And then right here in the middle of the roundabout, you can also see the school's mascot, the Spartan. Public school in town there, the Trojans. Nice little rivalry there. And then over to the right-hand side, you can see one of the Kiss-mobiles. If you ask me, that's way better than the real Bannermobile. And you'll see more of the campus coming up on your right-hand side. Grandparents in 1826, and it's where he was born in 1857. You'll notice that there is a fence around the property, and it is private. It is now the residence for the president of the Milton Hershey School, which is why it is not open to the public. But interestingly enough, it was on the site of the Hershey family homestead that Mr. Hershey came back here in 1894 and repurchased the homestead. And in the final years of his father's create a unique taste. And by the next year, he introduced the world to the milk chocolate Hershey bar, which he would sell for a whopping nickel, making chocolate, which was formerly a European luxury item, so affordable that with a little bit of savings, even a child could buy a bar. And it was an overnight sensation. Less than a year later, Mr. Hershey made a startling announcement. He decided to get out of caramels entirely to risk his future and fortune in milk chocolate alone. At the turn of the century, he sold the now successful Lancaster Caramel Company for $1 million in 1900. Everything that you've been seeing has been all Milton Hershey School campus. To make sure that these children have a stable, safe environment to grow up in, there are student homes here, about 160 of them in use today. And each home is staffed by a set of house parents, dollars to build. Not too shabby, am I right? He also paid for it in cash, just in case you were wondering. Now, the Hersheys were the only people to ever live in this home for any real length of time. And that was because Mrs. Hershey passed away very suddenly on March 25th, 1915 at the age of 42. They only had 17 years of marriage together, and she was the love of his life. I cannot be clear enough about that. I told you that he made sure she had fresh cut flowers every single day of their marriage. He lived for another 30 years after she passed away, and he made sure that to her grave every day she had fresh cut flowers. He was asked over and over again if he would remarry, and I think it's a bit callous, but what people were getting at is they wanted to know if there would ever be a legacy to the Hershey family. And Mr. Hershey would always respond with the same sentiment. He'd say, I'll kiss little babies and I'll kiss little old ladies, but never ask me to kiss anything in between. She was the love of his life, and that was that. He moved out of the home for quite some time, from about 1920 to 1930. But when the Depression started, he came back to show his full support of the community, and he took up a 2-room apartment in his own home, right there on the second floor behind the balcony that you can see. He gave the rest to the country club so that they could have a clubhouse, and that's what it was for many years. The final 15 years of his life, he lived in 2 rooms in his own home, and he'd also given away most of his assets and income by this point too. And I wish I could tell you that I'm that kind of guy. To build this empire, and then to know that I should give it all away, then actually to do it, to give it away. Knowing and doing are 2 completely different things and 2 different skill sets, but luckily for us, Milton knew both. Like I said, the Hersheys were the only people to ever really live here for any extended amount of time. Today, and actually since the early 90s, this has been the home of the Hershey Trust Company. They are the wealth management team that looks after the wealth of the Milton Hershey School, and we'll talk about that wealth a little bit later on in the tour. That's also why this is completely private to the public. You cannot come up here on your own at all. You can only get up here by having a trolley. Now over here to the left-hand side in this little valley, you're going to be able to see a 1-room schoolhouse. And it's coming up on the left-hand side right over there. This was built by the Derry Presbyterian Church in 1826 as their church mission school. And that's actually where Mr. Hershey attended 2nd grade. And he and his classmates were in class during the Battle of Gettysburg, and they could hear cannon fire from the battle 50 miles away here in the church village. And I bring that up because, think about it, what an incredible wedge of history Mr. Hershey was alive for. Born right before the start of the American Civil War, and then he lived to see the end of World War II. To me, it's no small wonder that we got somebody of Mr. Hershey's caliber out of such an interesting wedge of American history. Hotel Hershey. Mr. and Mrs. Hershey traveled the world looking for a cure for her nervous disorder, and the cure never came, but she developed a love and affinity for Mediterranean style because of the amount of time they spent winters in the Mediterranean. Again, the home of the Hershey Bears. You can see the factory complex behind it of West Hershey. Then if you look way out onto the hill back there, you can see a long concrete complex, and that is the main campus of Penn State Hershey, the medical center that we talked about earlier.
Learn how to make their own candy bar, do some chocolate tasting, buy some candy, fun stuff. I'm not sure they want to get in the middle of an unsolved mystery.
Reese, we've already been through this. We'll never solve a mystery if we don't get some help. You simply have to help us.
Now, hold on a second. You're both right. We do need their help, but it's a lot to ask, especially from people who are here to have a good time.
Why don't you ask them? It can't hurt.
Oh, make sure to tell them that the fate of Hershey's chocolate rests in their hands. Lead with the need.
So we got these Hershey's Unwrapped kits, or tasting kits is what they call them. Or apparently it's called Hershey's Unwrapped Academy. So let's see what this part of our adventure is like today. So we made our candy bars. I did a dark chocolate with Heath toffee bits. Getting ready to go. What did you do, sweetie?
I don't remember.
She doesn't remember. I guess we'll see when we get on the floor. I'll try and get your screen. I think when you get here, you create your label and stuff, and then we'll get to see the process. So that'd be kind of cool. So you want to film me while I'm doing mine, and then you can. Okay. So we scan our ticket. Go ahead, sweetie. also? Huh. That's cool. So I'm doing the heat toffee bits. And then Natalie didn't tell me what hers was, so I gotta figure that out for myself. Oh, whatever. So mine's gonna go through the... That's a pretty hollow bar if you think about it. Should be an interesting candy bar. Pretty interesting little process here, and I don't know what the actual factory floor looks like doing this stuff. Oh, he did so what was that? Oh, he did crispy rice. Anything else? I didn't do any pretzel bites. Nah, Heath and pretzel don't go well together. I just did a simple bar. Oh, you did do. Oh, I'm gonna want to try yours. My wife Natalie got creative with hers. Pull this in. Oh. Pretty hollow dark chocolate bar. I thought we were gonna get to see the process like as the bar was made itself. So what else did you add? Butterscotch? Did you go the full? Did you do the works, or did you just do the two? Next time you should have shown me. Next time we do this, we're gonna record. You're gonna show me what you did. These aren't very big. I thought they were huge. Oh, okay. Well, what's his face? Oh my God. You're gonna be a diabetic by the time you get done with that thing. Boy, Natalie went all out on her. She got pretzel bites, she's got Rice Krispie, Keith bits. She got creative on hers. So we're going into the enrober, which means it's gonna cover our candy bar in chocolate. Mine's gonna be first. That's pretty cool looking. Comes out milk chocolate on the other side. That's pretty wild. And it's got to go through what looks like the sprinkler. That's only if you're putting. That's only if it, Pretty cool, isn't it? Well, folks, if you ever get a chance to come here to Hershey Park or the Hershey Chocolate World and do this, highly recommend it. This is fun. Those are. No, man. I was looking for a. I'll give you a wide selection. Record it?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Just give you folks how big this room is. I think this is kind of cool. We're going to eventually see our candy bar package up. There's a screen there showing what's going on. Oh, I didn't get them sliding down the. Sorry. I don't know, it's gonna. Here, get this out of here. That's so cool. So that looks like it lands on foil. That's cool. Okay, mine's about ready to enter the chamber, and now he's being not too far behind. See what this is. Okay, that's a. What's next? Oh, it just shoves it right in there. So cute. So where's the
Mark?
Yep. Oh, cool. Awesome.
You post every minute?
Yep.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that concludes our visit to Hershey, Pennsylvania. We did the park yesterday, and we did the Hershey Chocolate Roll, the adventure packet #1 today, which included all 4. We had a trolley tour. We did the movie. It was a 4-dimensional movie, kind of an anime. I think it was kind of cute. We did what was called Hershey's Unwrapped. It was a tasting, mixed with sort of like a little academy type class. It was kind of cool. And then the last was making our own chocolate bar. So I made one with Hershey bits, or not Hershey bits, but with heat toffee bits in there. I did dark chocolate. Now he did one with, she did the work. She did crispy rice. She did pretzel bits and Heath. So yeah, hers is gonna turn. I'll be anxious to see how hers tasted. So we'll do photos of those later, or we did do a photo actually. We just didn't show it in the video. But anyway, yeah, we hope to get this park again next spring. At least do the make your own candy bar again. But we've done the other 3, so we know what those are. But we hope to get back here next spring, different time of season, and maybe be here. The park's open a little bit later. So. Till then, this is Mark and Natalie signing off for M&N Amusements.
They too.
Peace.